Let's be honest, when you saw the headline Saka, Rice and Madueke all leaving the England camp, your heart probably dropped a little. Mine did too, because we all know what's coming up. Sporting in the Champions League, Southampton in the FA Cup, and a Premier League title race that is still very much alive. This is not the time for injury scares. Not now. Not with everything on the line. So let's break it all down. What actually happened, how bad it really is, and what it means for Arsenal going forward. What actually happened? The full story. It started on Friday night at Wembley. England were playing Uruguay in an international friendly, and Noni Madueke started the game. He was lively, he was sharp, and by all accounts he looked ready to show the world what he can do in an England shirt. Then it happened. A challenge from Uruguay's Rodrigo Aguirre caught Madueke's left knee. Tuchel himself described the tackle as on the edge. Madueke tried to carry on but couldn't. He came off before half-time, and that was it. The image that spread all over social media shortly after, Madueke walking out of Wembley with a brace on his knee, visibly limping, looking like he was in serious pain. Every Arsenal fan seeing that picture was thinking the same thing. Please, not a ligament injury. Then came more news. Declan Rice and Bukayo Saka, who had been rested for the Uruguay game, joined the England camp on Saturday morning, only to be sent straight back home. Both reported discomfort during training, and England's medical team made the call. There was no point keeping them around for a friendly against Japan when the risk of making things worse was too high. Fabrizio Romano confirmed it quickly, posting that Rice and Saka had left England camp for medical assessment, with Madueke also returning to Arsenal due to injury, alongside Aaron Ramsdale, Fikayo Tomori, Adam Wharton and Dominic Calvert-Lewin. When Fabrizio posts something like that, you know it's real, and it's serious. The man doesn't post things just to fill his timeline. The Madueke update, how bad is it really? This is the one that had everyone panicking the most, and honestly, you understand why. A knee brace, crutches, limping, that combination of images sends every fan into worst-case scenario mode straight away. But here is where the good news comes in. Thomas Tuchel, speaking on Monday, gave an update that actually gave Arsenal fans something to breathe about. He said that the scan results came back slightly more positive than what Madueke himself was feeling in the moment. The pain was real, the worry was real, but the actual damage seems to be less serious than those images suggested. Tuchel said he would be out for some days, which is frustratingly vague, but it's also a long way from he'll be out for months. There is a real difference between those two things. Madueke will now be properly assessed by Arsenal's medical team to determine the full extent of what happened, and the club will take it from there. Yahoo Sports. Now here is something worth thinking about. Madueke only joined Arsenal from Chelsea in the summer. He has been one of the surprise packages of the season, showing exactly why Arsenal decided to bring him in. Losing him even for 2 or 3 weeks at this stage of the season would be a real problem because Arteta's squad depth on the wings is not as deep as you would want it to be going into the business end of the campaign. So the question is, does he make it back in time for Sporting? Rice and Saka, is this actually serious? Honestly, I'm not that worried about these two, and here is why. The way Tuchel spoke about them tells you everything. He said both players wanted to stay. They were pushing to be involved. They didn't want to leave. That tells you right away that neither of them felt like something was seriously wrong. They weren't in the kind of pain where you just know something is badly damaged. Rice had previously spoken about feeling completely worn out after a relentless run of club fixtures, and his return alongside Saka is being widely seen as a sensible precautionary decision rather than a sign of serious injury. Football 365 Tuchel put it plainly. He said the risk of making things worse was just too high for a game that didn't matter in the grand scheme of things. And he was right. A friendly against Japan in March is not worth gambling the Champions League quarter-final on. That's just common sense. You don't risk your 2 best outfield players for a game that means nothing when you have Sporting coming up in a matter of days. Tuchel was also keen to make clear that both players desperately wanted to stay and play, and that the decision to send them home was purely based on medical logic, not any lack of commitment from the players themselves. Sports Illustrated. So for Rice and Saka, I think they'll be fine. I think this was Arsenal being smart. Protect them now, have them ready for when it actually matters. The bigger picture, Arsenal have an injury crisis. Here is something you might not have fully taken in yet. It's not just 3 players. During this international break, Declan Rice, Bukayo Saka, Noni Madueke, Eberechi Eze, Piero Hincapi, William Saliba, Gabriel Magalhaes, Leandro Trossard, Martin Odegaard and Jurrien Timber all withdrew from international duty. Kel. Now that is 10 Arsenal players. 10. From one club, in one international break. When you put it like that, it sounds horrifying. And in some ways it is. But there is important context here. Several of those players pulled out of friendly fixtures before playing a single minute, with no injury concerns heading into the break. Trossard, Saliba, Gabriel, Rice and Saka all started in last weekend's Carabao Cup final against Manchester City and came through the game physically fine. Sports Illustrated. So a chunk of those withdrawals were really just Arsenal being cautious with players who were already a bit tired and banged up after a gruelling season, which is sensible management, not a medical emergency. But it has raised some eyebrows. Arsenal's mass international withdrawals have drawn comparisons to Manchester United under Sir Alex Ferguson, a manager who was famous for prioritising club over country, and questions are being asked about whether Arteta has had any influence behind the scenes. Sports Illustrated, look, I'm not going to pretend I know exactly what went on, but I will say this, if Arteta did nudge some players to report their discomfort rather than push through it, that is actually the responsible thing to do at this point in the season. These are not World Cup qualifiers. These are friendlies. No trophy comes from a friendly in March. What does this mean for Arsenal's season? Let's talk fixtures, because this is where it gets really important. First up, Arsenal face Southampton in the FA Cup quarter-final on Saturday. That's a game Arsenal should win regardless. Arteta can rest the bigger names there, give some squad players minutes, and keep Rice, Saka and hopefully Madueke fresh for the bigger test. Then comes Tuesday the 7th of April, Sporting CP, Champions League quarter-final. First leg, away from home. This is the one that matters most right now. This is the game where you need your best players on the pitch, sharp, confident and ready. Arsenal are fighting on multiple fronts, the FA Cup, the Champions League and a Premier League title race that is still very much alive, and Arteta needs this break to work in his favour. Yahoo Sports. If Rice and Saka are available for Sporting, that is huge. Those two together in midfield and attack give Arsenal a completely different level of quality. Without them, Arsenal are still a good team. With them, they are a dangerous team. Big difference. The one that worries me most, if I'm being honest, is still Madueke. His role in Arsenal's attacking play has grown massively this season. He offers something different, direct, fast, unpredictable. And with Saka not quite at his best form right now, having Madueke available as a proper attacking threat on the other side is more important than people might realise. The fan perspective. Let's be real. Some fans online are saying this is all fine, it's nothing, everyone will be back in a week. I get that optimism, but I'm not fully there yet. Not until I see them all training normally and Arteta says they're available. On the other hand, some fans are absolutely panicking like Arsenal are going to fall apart completely. That's too far as well. Tuchel was very clear, these are days, not weeks, not months, days. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. A couple of them will be back for Southampton. The big ones, Rice and Saka, almost certainly make the Sporting game. Madueke is the question mark, and we'll know more by the end of this week. What I do know is this. Arsenal have been building towards something special this season. The Champions League is genuinely within reach. The Premier League is still there, and the FA Cup is a real opportunity too. You don't throw all of that away because of a rough international break. Arteta has been here before. This squad has handled adversity before. A few days of rest might actually do Rice and Saka more good than harm. Sometimes your body just needs to stop for a moment. A few questions for you. What do you think? Are you worried about the Madueke injury, or do you think he'll be fine for Sporting? And what about Rice and Saka? Do you trust that this is just a precaution, or does it feel like something more to you? Most importantly, do you think Arsenal can beat Sporting even if one or two key players aren't fully fit? Drop your thoughts. I want to know what the Arsenal community thinks about this, because honestly, the next 2 weeks are going to tell us a lot about what kind of team this really is. Final word. Look, this could have been so much worse. When you see a player leave a stadium on crutches wearing a knee brace, you brace yourself for the worst news. The fact that the scans came back more positive than feared is genuinely a relief. And the Rice and Saka situation was always likely to be precautionary from the moment it was announced. But let's not pretend everything is perfect either. Arsenal have a massive week coming up. The players need to recover properly, and Arteta needs to get his squad right for the moments that actually matter. The season is not over, not even close, but the next 10 days, they could define everything. Stay locked in. This is where it gets interesting.